Listen, you think you're here by accident. You think all this, your pain, your struggle, your confusion means nothing. No, you've been lied to, because nothing about you is random. Not your story, not your scars, not even the nights you cried when nobody was watching. There is a reason you are still here, breathing, fighting, trying, even when you wanted to quit. And I need you to hear this clearly, deeply, without doubt. God didn't create you by accident. You are not a mistake. You are not just another person. You are not here to exist, pay bills, and disappear. No, you were sent here with intention, with purpose, with a mission. But here's the truth nobody tells you. A mission is never easy. A mission comes with pressure. A mission comes with pain. A mission comes with moments. That is where you become stronger. That makes you question everything. Every time you survive pain, you level up mentally, where you emotionally, are right now. Spiritually, confused, you become harder to break, harder to stop, harder to control. Most people run from pain because if you were broken, you wouldn't still be standing. They chase comfort. You wouldn't still be searching. And that is why they stay the same. But you are still here, still standing, still fighting, even after everything. That means something. That's not normal. That means you have strength. That's purpose. You haven't even discovered yet. God placed something inside you. Weak people don't survive. This world cannot take away. Weak people don't keep going. Not rejection, not betrayal. So stop asking, why is this happening to me? But you start asking, what is this building in me? You keep playing small. Because your struggle is shaping you. You keep waiting. Your pain is preparing you for something bigger, something greater. But only if you don't waste it. Only if you face it. This breath, this chance, you are going to see it because every day you wake up. From this moment, pain that your mission is not over. It is your advantage. It is your edge. Your mission, because while others are complaining, you are learning. While others are quitting, and the pain you feel, are adapting. It's not while others are breaking, you are adapting. While others are breaking, is building something in you. That is the strength. That is the difference. Pain reveals truth. It shows you who you really are. Meant to live requires a stronger version of you, and that when everything is against you, when you are tired, when you are frustrated, when you feel like giving up, that is when your real threat of giving up. Not in comfort, not in ease, but in pressure, in resistance, in the moments where you say, I can't do this, but you keep going anyway. That's who you are. Not weak, not average, but chosen. Yes, chosen, not to be comfortable, but to be powerful, not to fit in, but to stand out, not to follow, but to lead. But you can't lead if you're still doubting your existence. You can't rise if you keep questioning your worth. You can't win if you don't believe you were meant to. So let me remind you, you didn't come this far just to feel lost. You didn't survive everything you've been through just to quit now. No, you were built for this. Every challenge, every obstacle, every moment that tried to break you was training. Nothing was wasted. Nothing, even your lowest moments, had purpose. Even your failures had direction. Even your delays had meaning. Because God doesn't make mistakes, and you are not the exception. You are part of the plan. But a plan only works if you decide to move, if you decide to act, if you decide that today is the day you stop running, stop hiding, stop doubting, and start becoming the person you were meant to be. Because deep down, you already know, you feel it. That voice inside you telling you there's more, that you're capable of more, that you were created for more. That voice, that's your mission calling you, and it's been calling you for a long time. But now, it's time to answer. No more excuses, no more waiting, no more fear. Because the moment you step into your purpose, everything changes. Not overnight, not instantly, but permanently. Because when you know who you are and why you're here, nothing can stop you. Not opinions, not failure, not fear, nothing. So stand up, right now, in your mind, in your spirit, to your fears. Because now, they can't control you anymore. You've outgrown them. And growth comes with separation. You will lose people. You will outgrow environments. You will walk alone sometimes, and that's okay. Because not everyone is meant to go where you're going. Not everyone is built for your level. And if you try to carry everyone, you'll slow yourself down. So you have to choose comfort or growth, fitting in or standing out, staying the same or becoming who you were meant to be. And deep down, you already know the answer. You feel it. That pressure, that voice saying, a step up, a do more, a be more, that's not random. That's your higher self calling you. That's your purpose demanding more from you. And now, you can't ignore it anymore. Because once you become aware, there's no going back. You either rise or you regret. You either grow or you stay stuck. You either become or you waste your potential. And wasting your potential, that's the real failure. Not mistakes, not setbacks, not delays. Wasted potential, knowing you could have been more but choosing less. That's what you refuse to live with. So from this moment, you raise your standards, not tomorrow, now. You demand more from yourself, more discipline, more focus, more effort. Because average effort creates average lives. And that's not who you are anymore. You've decided that. So now you prove it with action, daily action. Consistent action, relentless action, even when it's boring, even when it's hard, even when nobody notices. Because identity is built through repetition. What you do daily becomes who you are permanently. So if you show up strong, you become strong. If you stay disciplined, you become disciplined. If you keep pushing, you become unstoppable. And unstoppable isn't about being perfect, it's about refusing to quit, no matter what. No matter how many times you fall, you get back up stronger, wiser, more focused. Because now you understand the game. You understand that failure is part of growth. You understand that pain is part of progress. You understand that struggle is part of success. So you stop resisting it and you start using it. Every setback becomes fuel. Every doubt becomes motivation. Every obstacle becomes an opportunity. That's how winners think. That's how leaders think. That's how you think now. Because your identity has changed. And once your identity changes, your reality follows. It has to. You no longer accept less. You no longer tolerate weakness. You no longer live without purpose. You are locked in, focused, driven, committed, not for a day, not for a week, for life. Because this is who you are now, not someone who talks, someone who executes, not someone who dreams, someone who builds, not someone who waits, someone who moves. And that movement, that action, that discipline, it compounds, it builds, it creates momentum. And momentum is unstoppable. Once it starts, it's hard to stop. That's why the beginning is hard. That's why most people quit early, because they never reach momentum. But you will, because you're still here, still listening, still pushing, still choosing to grow. And that tells me everything. You're different, you're ready, you're done playing small. So now you go all in. No half effort, no excuses, no distractions, just focus, just discipline, just execution, day after day, step by step. Until one day, your life looks completely different, not because of luck, but because of who you became. And that person, that version of you, is unstoppable, not because life is easy, but because you are strong. Not because there are no problems, but because you can handle them. Not because everything goes your way, but because you don't quit. That's power, that's identity, that's who you are now. So stand on it, own it, live it, because this is just the beginning. Now, we stop talking, we stop thinking, we stop overanalyzing. This is where you execute. Because ideas don't change your life. Plans don't change your life. Even motivation doesn't change your life. Execution does. Action does. Daily, consistent, focused action. That's what separates you from who you used to be. So from this moment, you operate differently. No more waiting to feel ready. No more waiting for the perfect time. No more waiting for motivation. You move, whether you feel like it or not. Because discipline is doing it anyway. And anyway is where your power is. Tired, do it anyway. Unmotivated, do it anyway. Scared, do it anyway. Doubting yourself, do it anyway. Because every time you move, despite how you feel, you win. Not a big win, not something the world will see, but something greater. You win against yourself. And that's the hardest battle. The battle against comfort, the battle against excuses, the battle against that voice in your head that tells you to stop, to wait, to quit, to quit. That voice, it's not your truth, it's your limitation. And today you stop listening to it. You don't negotiate with weakness. You don't debate with excuses. You don't entertain doubt. You shut it down with action, immediate action. Because action kills hesitation, destroys fear. Action builds confidence. You don't become confident by thinking. You become confident by doing, by showing up, by pushing through resistance, by proving to yourself again and again that you can. And once you prove it, once you feel that shift, you'll never go back, because now you trust yourself. not your mood, not your feelings, yourself. And that trust is everything. Because when you trust yourself, you move faster, you think less, you execute more. And execution creates results, not instantly, but inevitably. If you stay consistent, that's the rule. Consistency over intensity. Not one big day followed by 5 lazy days. No, small wins. Every single day. That's how you build something real. That's how you build momentum. In momentum is what changes your life, but you have to protect it. From distractions, from negativity, from people who don't understand your vision. Because not everyone will get it. Not everyone will support you. Not everyone will believe in you. And that's fine. You're not doing this for them. You're doing this because you said you would. Because you made a decision. Because you committed. And commitment means you show up even when it's inconvenient, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's boring. Because let me tell you something, success is boring. It's repetitive. It's discipline. It's doing the same things over and over again until they work. And most people can't handle that. They want excitement. They want quick results. They want instant success. But that's not real. Real success is built in silence, in routine, in structure, in habits. So you fall in love with the process, not the outcome. You fall in love with the grind, not the reward. Because the reward will come if you stay consistent, if you stay focused, if you stay disciplined. That's the formula. No shortcuts, no hacks, just work. Focused work, intentional work, daily work. And here's the truth. You already know what to do. You don't need more information. You don't need more videos. You don't need more advice. You need action. You need execution. You need to take what you know and apply it. Right now, not later. Now, because every day you delay, you fall behind. Not behind others, behind your potential. And your potential is too valuable to waste. So you lock in. You eliminate distractions. You cut off what's slowing you down. You protect your time. You protect your energy. You protect your focus. Is your greatest weapon. In a world full of noise, focus makes you dangerous. While others scroll, you build. While others complain, you work. While others quit, you continue. That's the difference. That's why you'll win. Not because you're special, but because you're consistent. Because you refuse to stop. Because you execute no matter what. And over time, that separates you. It puts you in a different category, a different level, a different mindset. Because now you're not reacting to life, you're creating it. You're building it, you're controlling it through your actions, through your discipline, through your consistency. That's power, real power, not loud, not flashy, but unstoppable. So from this moment, you operate in execution mode. No excuses, no delays, no hesitation, just action. Relentless action every single day, because your mission demands it, your purpose requires it, and your future depends on it. So you move, you build, you execute until there's no doubt left, until there's no weakness left, until there's no old version of you left, only the new one, stronger, focused, disciplined, unstoppable. And this time, you don't stop. Now this is the part most people won't tell you. The part that scares people. The part that makes people quit. The part called sacrifice. Because if you really want to rise, you will have to give things up. Comfort, distractions, certain people, old habits, even parts of yourself. Yes, parts of yourself, because the life you want demands a different version of you. And becoming that version comes at a cost, a real cost. Time, energy, attention. You don't get to keep everything and still grow. You don't get to stay the same and expect a different life. No, growth requires sacrifice, and sacrifice requires strength, because it's not easy. It's not easy to say no when everyone else is saying yes. It's not easy to stay focused when everything around you is distracting. It's not easy to walk alone when you're used to having people around, but that's exactly what it takes, because there will be seasons in your life where it's just you, no applause, no support, no validation, just you and your vision. And in those moments, you will feel alone. You will feel misunderstood. You will feel like nobody gets you. But listen carefully. That isolation, it's not punishment. It's preparation. It's where you're being built, without noise, without distraction, without influence. Just you and your purpose. that's where clarity comes from. That's where discipline is formed. That's where real growth happens. Because when you're alone, you can't hide, you can't pretend, you can't blame. It's just you facing yourself. And that's powerful. Because now you see your weaknesses clearly. You see your excuses clearly. You see what needs to change, and you either face it or you stay the same. That's the choice. And you already know staying the same is not an option. Not anymore. So you embrace the isolation. You stop fearing it. You stop running from it. And you start using it. You use that time to build, to think, to grow, to become sharper, stronger, more focused. Because when you come out of that season, you won't be the same. You'll be different, elevated, disciplined, dangerous. Because now you don't depend on anyone. Not emotionally, not mentally, not spiritually. You're grounded. You're centered, you're locked in, and that makes you unstoppable. But to get there, you need tunnel vision, no distractions, no comparisons, no unnecessary noise. Just focus, pure focus on your goals, on your mission, on your growth. Because every time you look sideways, you lose momentum. Every time you compare yourself, you lose clarity. Every time you entertain distractions, you lose power, and power comes from focus. So you protect it at all costs. You say no more often. You limit access. You become selective with your time, with your energy, with your attention, because not everything deserves you. Not everyone deserves you. And once you understand that, everything changes. You stop chasing people. You stop chasing approval. You stop chasing validation. And you start chasing growth. You start chasing purpose. You start chasing excellence. Because excellence is what your life demands now. No more average. No more minimum effort. No more excuses. Only standards. Unbreakable standards. And you live by them daily, consistently, relentlessly. Because standards create identity. And your identity creates your life. So you don't lower your standards for comfort. You don't lower your standards for people. You don't lower your standards for temporary feelings. You raise them again and again and again until your life matches them. That's the process. That's the journey. That's the mission. And yes, it's hard. Yes, it's lonely. Yes, it requires sacrifice. But it's worth it. Every moment, every struggle. Because at the end of it, you won't just have success. You'll have yourself, your strength, your discipline, your power. And that can never be taken away. So don't be afraid to walk alone. Don't be afraid to say no. Don't be afraid to sacrifice, because what you're building is bigger than comfort, bigger than approval, bigger than temporary pleasure. You're building a life, a legacy, a version of yourself that most people will never reach. And that requires a different mindset, a stronger mindset, a focused mindset, a disciplined mindset, which is exactly who you're becoming right now, step by step, day by day, decision by decision. So stay locked in, stay focused, stay committed, no matter how lonely it gets, no matter how hard it feels, no matter how long it takes, no matter how long it takes. Because this path you're on leads somewhere most people never go, greatness. And you're not turning back now. Now this is where your faith gets tested. Not when things are easy, not when everything is working, but right here in the waiting, in the silence, in the moments where nothing makes sense. Because anyone can believe when they see results. Anyone can stay strong when life is going their way. But real faith shows up when you don't see anything, when you don't feel progress, when you don't understand the delay. That's where most people break. They lose patience. They lose trust. They start questioning everything. Why is this taking so long? Why isn't it working? Did I make the wrong choice? And slowly, doubt starts to grow. Fear starts to take over. And before they know it, they quit. Not because they weren't capable, but because they didn't trust the process. Don't make that mistake. Because what you're going through right now is not random. It's not wasted. It's not meaningless. It's preparation, deep preparation. The kind you can't see, the kind you can't measure, the kind that happens internally before anything shows externally. Because before your life changes, you have to change. Before you rise, you have to be built. And building takes time, more time than you expect, more time than you want. but exactly the time you need. Because if things happen too fast, you wouldn't be ready. You wouldn't be strong enough. You wouldn't be disciplined enough. You wouldn't be wise enough to handle what's coming. So the delay, it's not denial. It's protection. It's alignment. It's timing. God's timing. And God's timing is never early, never late. Always right, even when it doesn't feel like it. Even when it's frustrating. Even when it makes you question everything. You have to trust it. You have to believe that something is happening behind the scenes, that doors are being prepared, that opportunities are being aligned, that your path is being shaped in ways you can't even see yet. But here's the key. You don't stop moving. You don't stop growing. You don't stop working, because faith is not sitting still. Faith is moving forward, even when you don't have proof. Faith is showing up, even when you don't see results. Faith is believing, even when everything around you says a quit. That's real faith, and that's what separates you. Because now you're not driven by emotions, you're driven by purpose. You're not controlled by doubt, you're guided by belief, and belief is powerful. Because what you believe determines how you act, and how you act determines your results. So if you believe it's working, you'll keep going. If you believe it's coming, you'll stay patient. If you believe you're chosen, you'll act like it. And acting like it is what makes it real. That's how this works. That's the process, not fast, not easy, but powerful, because it transforms you from the inside out. And once that transformation happens, nothing can stop you. Not delays, not obstacles, not rejection, nothing. Because now you understand. You understand that waiting is part of winning. You understand that silence is part of growth. You understand that struggle is part of the journey. So you stop complaining, you stop rushing, you stop doubting, and you start trusting deeply, fully, unconditionally, because trust removes fear. And when fear is gone, you move differently. You move with confidence, with peace, with certainty. Even when things are unclear, that's power, that's faith. And that's what you're building right now. Not just success, but belief. Not just results, but strength. Not just progress, but patience. Because when your time comes, and it will come, you won't just be ready, you'll be unstoppable. Because you didn't rush the process. You respected it, you trusted it, you stayed committed to it. Even when it was hard, even when it was silent, even when it tested you. And now, everything starts to make sense. The delays, the struggles, the setbacks, they were never against you. They were for you, preparing you, shaping you, positioning you for something greater, something bigger, something beyond what you imagined, but only if you stay faithful. Only if you keep going. Only if you refuse to quit. Because quitting breaks the process. Quitting resets everything. Quitting takes you back to the beginning. And you've come too far to go back now. So you hold on, you stay patient, you stay focused, you stay consistent. And most importantly, you stay faithful, because your breakthrough is closer than you think. Your moment is coming. Your time is near. And when it arrives, you'll understand everything. Why it took so long, why it had to be hard, why you couldn't quit. Because it was all part of the plan. Your plan, God's plan. And now, you're ready for it now. This is the moment everything starts to shift. Not slowly, not quietly, but powerfully. Because after everything you've been through, the pain, the pressure, the patience, the discipline, something inside you has changed. You're not the same person anymore. You don't think the same. You don't move the same. You don't tolerate the same. Because now you've been forged through struggle, through silence, through sacrifice. In that process, it built something in you that can't be broken. This is your breakthrough. Not luck, not chance, but earned. Every late night, every early morning you wanted to quit but didn't. That's what brought you here. And now you feel it, that shift. That clarity, that certainty. You don't need validation anymore. You don't need approval anymore. You don't need permission anymore. Because you know who you are. And when you know who you are, you move differently. You walk with confidence. You speak with purpose. You act with intention. Because doubt no longer controls you. Fear no longer stops you. Excuses no longer exist for you. You've outgrown them completely. And now you rise above the negativity, above the people who doubted you, Not to prove them wrong, but to prove yourself right. Because this was never about them. It was always about you, becoming who you were meant to be. And now you're stepping into it, fully, without hesitation, without fear, without apology. Because you earned this, every piece of it. And the best part, you're just getting started. This isn't the end. This is the beginning of a new level, a higher standard, a stronger mindset, a bigger life. Because once you break through, you can't go back. You can't think small again. You can't live average again. You can't settle again. Because you've seen what you're capable of, and that changes everything. Forever, so now you set new goals, bigger goals, higher targets, stronger vision, because your old dreams are no longer enough. You've outgrown them, and growth demands expansion. So you expand your mindset, your habits, your actions, your expectations. Because playing small is no longer an option. Not after everything you've been through, not after everything you've built, not after everything you've become. So you go harder, you go further, you go all in. No hesitation. No fear, no limit. Because now you understand something most people never will. You understand that limits are illusions created by fear, maintained by doubt, destroyed by action, and you've taken action, relentless action, consistent action, focused action, and that's why you're here, at this level, at this mindset, at this version of yourself that once felt impossible, but now it's real. You are real. This transformation is real. And nobody can take that from you. Nobody. Because it wasn't given to you. It was built by you, earned by you, fought for by you. And that's what makes it powerful. Richard. That's what makes it permanent. So now you don't slow down, you don't relax, you don't get comfortable. Because comfort is what you left behind. You stay hungry, you stay focused, you stay disciplined. Because greatness requires maintenance. It requires consistency. It requires standards. And you have them now. Unbreakable standards. Standards that don't bend for feelings. Standards that don't drop for convenience. Standards that don't change for anyone. Because you know what it took to get here. And you're not going back. Not now. Not ever. So when life tests you again, and it will, you won't break. You won't panic. You won't quit. Because now you're built for it. You're ready for it. You become someone who can handle anything. And that's real power. Not avoiding problems, but overcoming them. Not escaping pressure, but using it. Not fearing challenges, but facing them. That's who you are now. A different level, a different mindset, a different standard. And from this point forward, everything changes. Your results, your environment, your circle, your life. Because when you change, everything around you changes. That's the law, that's the truth, that's the transformation. So step into it, fully, boldly, confidently, because this is your moment, this is your breakthrough, this is your rise. And this time, nothing can stop you. Now, this is where it all comes together. Everything you felt, everything you faced, everything you fought through. It wasn't just about survival, it was about transformation. It was about becoming the person you were always meant to be. And now you see it. You feel it, you understand it. This was never random. This was never an accident. You were sent here with purpose, with intention, with a mission. It's bigger than your fears, bigger than your doubts, bigger than your past, because your past does not define you anymore. Your mistakes do not control you anymore. Your struggles do not limit you anymore. They built you, they shaped you, they prepared you for this moment, this version of you that refuses to quit. That refuses to settle, that refuses to live small, because now you know the truth, you know who you are, you know why you're here, and most importantly, you know what you have to do. No more confusion, no more hesitation, no more waiting. You move with clarity, you move with purpose, you move with power every single day, because your life is your responsibility, your future is your decision, and your legacy is your choice. Yes, your legacy. Because one day this life will end, and the only question that will matter is, did you live it fully? Did you become everything you were created to be, or did you hold back? Did you play small? Did you let fear control your story? That's a question you answer now, not later. Now, with your actions, with your discipline, with your commitment, because legacy is not built at the end. It's built daily, in the small choices, In the unseen moments, in the times where nobody is watching, but you still show up. That's where it's created, that's where it's earned. So from this moment, you live differently, you think differently, you act differently. Yeah, because you understand time is limited. Opportunities are not forever, and your potential demands to be used fully, completely, without excuses, without fear, without holding back. Because holding back is the only real failure. Not trying is the only real regret. And regret is something you refuse to live with. So you go all in, on yourself, on your growth, on your mission, every day, no matter what. Because you didn't come this far to stop now. You didn't survive everything. To play small, you didn't fight this hard to live average. You were built for more, and now you're living it, step by step, day by day, decision by decision, becoming stronger, becoming wiser, becoming unstoppable. And when people see you, they won't just see success, they'll see discipline, they'll see transformation. In act, they'll see what's possible when someone refuses to quit. And that is your impact, that is your power, that is your legacy. So stand tall, stand firm, stand on everything you've become, because you earned it. Every scar, every lesson, every victory, it all counts, it all matters. And it all led you here, to this moment, to this version of you that is ready, ready to rise, ready to lead, ready to live with purpose. And this time, you don't look back, you don't doubt, you don't hesitate. You move forward with faith, with discipline, with certainty. Because now, you understand, God didn't create you by accident. You were sent here for a reason. And now, you're finally living it. This is your mission. This is your life. This is your moment. And this time, you don't waste it.